Hey everybody, welcome back to Gardens, the Untold Story. I'm your host, Ken Somerville. My co-host, the invisible gardener, Andy Lopez, beside me here. Tonight we're talking about immunity by design, permanent fixes for pests and disease. Now, Andy, you gave me this title, and I don't know, what's permanent? I'm not permanent. You're not permanent. So how can we basically say things are permanent? And Andy, shift over a little bit. Be in the center of the screen already, okay? Wrong way. That's a typical Andy. Yeah. There we go. But anyway, guys, just before we get started, to let you know, I'm under an orange tornado watch in my area for tonight. So if something goes wrong and I all of a sudden disappear from the screen, Andy will finish off the show. If we get high winds, I can lose my internet. So just to let you guys know. Anyway, Andy,
the tornado. Hey everybody!
Man, I could go spinning out of my house tonight. I don't know. The likelihood is very, very minimal. But hey, if I get really high winds, my Starlink satellite dish might go plop over, and of course I'd lose my connection. So who knows?
So
you just never know. What's that?
Bring up my screen, old man.
Okay, well, here we go, guys. There you go, the invisible gardener, Andy Lopez.
So today I'm going to be covering, it's interesting because I shouldn't have said permanent because nothing's really permanent, it's not even, so you in terms of diseases and pests, you never really do any, it's never really permanent. All you can do is to, deal with it to such a point that the plants or you or whatever survive it, they're doing well. And if they get to be super healthy, the diseases are always there. They don't disappear on you. You see, the diseases are like we have all diseases in our body, and so when the conditions are right, then the disease spreads. So it just shouldn't be permanent. But so I'm going to cover, give you 10 points. And these are things I have learned over the 855,000 years I've been around on Earth. And we're going to cover today. So today we're covering pests and diseases. And what I wanted to say is that, see, I always teach short term and long term. The long term is really how to survive that pest, from that pest and disease. How can the plant continue to function and do its thing and be beautiful? And if we understand why the plants have the pest and disease, always the same thing with humans, why we have the pest and disease, which is the core of the problem. That is the key. That is the key. That's the way that's what you want to do. So, but you also have to do short-term solutions because the long-term it's called long-term for a reason. That means it takes a while to cure, to heal. And, I was just talking to somebody just yesterday about this very same subject. And he says, why does it take so long for they have olive trees, for the olive trees to recover? I put compost down on it. I've done everything I can do. As a matter of fact, he bought the compost from Leighton, put the compost down. Leighton's an amazing compost, right? I mean, he's one of the most amazing person I've run across, next to me, of course, or next to you, next to Silly. Actually, there's a group of amazing people that I have stumbled upon because of you guys. And I was telling this guy, and as a matter of fact, I had a nice talk with Leighton about it too, because he says, it takes a while, right? It takes a while for it to, and I said, yes, but I have discovered, and I really didn't put it on here, but at the end, remind me to tell you what is that secret that I learned the most important thing that I can show you, teach you, tell you, it's going to be at the very end. Okay? I'm going to tell you that at the very end, the most important that I think, all of these is important. The fact that, for example, I have all plant diseases are soil-borne. Who's that? Oh, hi! You get to see stuff now, huh?
And grasshoppers are having a total feast on my new radish plants.
Yeah. See, so whenever, and I'm glad you have a question because I'm really here to answer a question. And and this is part of the show because that's the way I usually I usually don't take notes or do anything. I just jump in and do it. This time I got points, but my whole thing is so grasshoppers. And so it doesn't make any difference what bug you got, what's happening. They're eating it because there's a trace mineral deficiency in that plant. It's as simple as that. It's a trace. So what plant did she say she was feeding?
Radishes.
Radishes. Okay, so I want to ask you, tell me what, so there are different varieties of radishes, like 50, 60, 70 different varieties of radishes. You might be growing the wrong the wrong variety in the wrong location because they are geared to the location that they live on the planet. You can't grow something that you grow in Europe over here and expect the same results. Secondly, because of the location, they have different soil biology. So when they're grown, they're used to the soil biology to do stuff, and now you're doing your own thing there. So that means that you have to understand that, right? And you say, okay, I want to make sure that my plants get all the nutrients they need, even though I might be getting seeds from everywhere. And again, it goes back down to the secret. So I can't tell you now because it's a secret. I just thought of that because that's exactly what I would tell you to do is you have to learn how to feed the plants besides the soil.
Yeah. Well, Andy, I have a question, I guess,
no question.
would be the grasshoppers. Like there's your normal swarm of grasshoppers, and then there's locusts, which come in and clear everything. But, for something like a grasshopper, I would think that, if you're putting plants around your garden, that grasshoppers would eat, basically trap plants. You might save a lot more on, your radishes having those other plants for the grasshopper.
I was trying to explain basically why they're going after in the first place, you see, right? And that's one of a long-term thing because basically you need to learn to amend your soil a little better, maybe get a couple of different varieties of rock dust, maybe get a couple of different sources of trace minerals, because they will also apply to everything else that you're growing, right? Some plants are more susceptible than the other ones. And I'm not really covering companion planting, which is an obvious thing you do. You plant plants around it that are repellent or that they are attractant. Either they repel or they attract. So a lot of people put plants around their farm, and the bugs go there. They never make it to or you have it growing right in amongst the plants. And there are many plants like that do that. I'll give you an example. I have in my garden, I got squirrels, and the squirrels they're still eating everything because the only way I can control them is I make a tea from the various different types of herbs that I have there. But because it's natural, it's gone in a day. So the next day I got to do it again. I got to do it every day because they'll go, okay, it smells good, and eat it. And so I have oregano, all the different herbs and stuff. I planted a tomato plant right in amongst my creeping oregano. And you should see the squirrel is like, I can reach it. I can reach it. I can reach it. Right? And so, but you can put it. So the squirrels are really, they just said, I'm walking right over it. I'm going to get the plant and walk back, So the only way it works is to spray everything with it. And so, and there are all the different kinds of plants that you normally can plant together. I've been growing for a long time, and I really have had some great times in growing things to see what happens together, because that's fun. I was with I grew a lot of roses, right? And so, and my roses are, I have to tell you, they're always beautiful because I key into the trace minerals. The trace minerals makes that color, right? Brings out the color. And the plants are doing real well, and the bugs normally don't eat them. But when I was young, I didn't really know that stuff. So what I did was I used to plant. Well, I made a mistake. I planted garlic bulbs at the base of roses. You do not want to plant garlic at the base of roses.
Stinky roses, yes, very stinky roses.
Garlic. It works fine, but I don't think people really like smelling garlic. I really don't. So here are some things that I could. This is a short-term solution for your beets. Okay, so I talk a lot about cold brewed coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, And so cold brew coffee is caffeine. Also, the coffee smell. And it's easy enough. It comes in a little bottle that says makes 20 cups, and you can take that and throw it in a gallon of water and spray your plants with it. That would also provide nutrition to them because the coffee, organic coffee, would have iron, magnesium, all those things. One of them maybe you're missing, and then so that's one thing you could do, because all they have to do is eat it once and they go, no, I don't think so. But when it works in the start, usually you have more than one grasshopper. You have like a whole massive group of them just going around eating everything. So a lot of times they'll just eat whatever, whether it's good for them or not, or they like it or not. They just go straight through everything. And there's really not a whole lot you could do in that sense, other than there are biological things you can buy that you can spray the plants with that will, when they eat it, it will kill them from the inside out, or it will deter them from having eggs.
And that'll work for grasshoppers, Andy?
Yes, sir.
The cold brew coffee. So
cold brew coffee is wonderful. So is garlic. I just have a gallon of called Garlic Barrier. It says 100 bulbs, 100 garlic bulbs in there. And that stuff
concentrate.
It's really, you 1 cup, you put it in a gallon of water. You have to just walk away while you're spraying because it's really strong. Usually the smell will deter many variety of pests and insects, because that's what it does is it screws up their antenna to see the plant, right? And so, but I before I forget, so in the future when you it's not too late either, but you should plant some garlic with your beets. I'm serious. So you can plant garlic, you can plant basil, you can put some oregano around, not too far away, some peppermint, some spearmint. They don't even have to be too far. It's just within arm's reach. And maybe in the corner of one row, so the space apart. Because these things, they will smell it. They have the scent, right? And the scent goes out. Let's see. There's citronella. Citronella is a wonderful plant.
Mm-hmm. And it's radishes that he's having the problem.
Oh, radishes, right? I am hungry for beets. No,
you must need iron.
I've been drinking. Yeah, it's rich in iron and magnesium, right? Potassium, right?
Yeah.
I've been drinking that, and I feel really good. So you can plant some with them now. So there are cups. So you can plant different kinds of herbs around them, or you can take the herbs. If you have I'm assuming you have a lot, but if you have a small little crop of beets, you can spray with the coffee. You can also spray with the garlic. Do not mix the coffee and the garlic together, because you will get sick. Your body will go, I want, I don't want, I want, I don't want, I hate, I don't hate. Because the first time I did that.
I'll say one thing that Super Tinker put up here is they aren't eating the hairy vetch or mustard, the little buggers.
Okay, so here's what you do. Make a tea from that and spray your plants with that. I was going to say, whatever they don't eat is what you want to use against stuff that you don't want them to eat. You know what I mean?
Okay, so make like a compost tea out of it.
Make a tea out of it.
Squeeze the juice out of it, like in the press.
Right. What I would do is boil some water, put the herb in there. You turn it off. You don't want to boil it. You want to bring the water to a boil, turn it off, wait a little bit, and start to cool down. Take a couple cuttings of your plant, put it in there. The more cuttings, the better. So you can chop it up, cut it up. Let it sit there for about 20 minutes to half hour. And if you want to, run through a strainer, a screen, and spray that.
Okay, well, there you go, Tinker. Try that one. Like, if they're not eating, those plants, you can use those plants and give it a try, and then let us know, how that worked for the grasshoppers, bro.
Right. I would love to know, because I have done that for so many things, especially when I have customers call me where they say, well, coyotes are coming around, or rabbits. Rabbits are a good example, because they'll come around and eat all kinds of stuff. They would definitely love. Hi, cousins. They definitely. Oh, Serena, you got my ebook, right? I hope you're reading it. If you have any questions, you know where to get me. This is the place to ask. Okay. So I'm still giving the ebook away for free. Yeah, look at liquid. Sure, do a liquid foliar spray. I would use what they're not eating, and I bet you they're not eating a bunch of different things. If you really want to confuse them, if they're not eating two different types of plant, blend those two together. Make it the more obnoxious for them, the better. And you don't even have to spray the plant. You can spray around the outside. They have to work their way, but you got to spray regularly because it disappears the next day, right? The sun burns it off. It's gone. So the spraying is not no, don't spray pennyroyal, right? What is it? Pennyroyal on your what? I can't see it.
Well, yeah, around the soil maybe. Don't spray it on the plants. So
yeah, well, there are some things, especially if they're edible. See, so you may want to experiment a little bit with different things because it will really make it difficult to eat. I mean, I love garlic, so I like spraying everything with garlic. You know, my favorite thing. Yeah, I was growing tomatoes for a long time. Well, I grew everything, but I meant entering contests, tomato contests, right? They have a tomato growing contest here in Long Beach, I think it is. And so, but my favorite thing to do was to grow garlic with tomatoes. And then, what did she say? I actually made it live today. I can't read the rest of it because
helps cure the heat.
I'm sorry, what?
Helps ease the heat.
What is?
Well, catching us live, you know.
Oh, okay.
We're so cool, brother. We're cool.
So what I did was I grew garlic, and the strongest garlic is elephant garlic. So I would grow one elephant garlic bulb with my tomato plant, and that tomatoes taste it. You bite it, and you go garlic. Where did the garlic come from? Everybody would go because when I have a table. Try this tomato. And they go, oh my God, it's garlic, right? And so I did. I expanded the philosophy to other fruit. My favorite again is apples. So when you have apple growing and you don't want things to eat, or you like garlic like I do, one elephant garlic planted down at the base of the tree, you will produce garlic tasting apples. I don't think you want to do it with oranges because it's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. I don't know if I want to do it with apples even. Come on.
No, apples is great. I ran into it. See, when I was young and living in Puerto Rico or Cuba, but but mainly I visited Puerto Rico a lot. And of course, Miami, I grew up there, so it's a tropical thing, you know. So I would have all kinds of fruit. And to me, garlic is the most healthiest thing for your body. It's antiviral. It controls bacteria. It kills parasitic worms. You know, it's good for all your different organs. And to this day, I consume raw garlic, and I eat garlic here, garlic there. And school, I don't know if I told you this, but I would take a garlic sandwich to school, a piece of bread, and put about 10 different garlic pieces in there.
Andy, I'm never coming to visit you, okay? I'm not getting within 20 paces of you, bro.
And then I would eat it and say hi, and then we'd go. That was.
And you were married. You have kids. I mean, your wife must have loved garlic too. But we have a question, Andy, and this is a pretty easy one.
Are you still sharing my screen?
Yeah, I am actually, but have heard that plants with higher bricks won't have pests. Is achieving high bricks achievable for most gardeners and farmers? And yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Right. It's a very simple technique to get high bricks. And I'm glad you brought it up because I did not put it in my slides, even though I have minerals in the section that I can cover, you know. So I did not. But yes. So first you got to get a refractometer. First, that's the first thing you do. It's not so complicated. When I went to buy a refractometer, well, I was fortunate because on my radio show a long time ago, I've been doing this forever. So every once in a while I get this professor will come on, right? A professor will come on and will say, "Are you familiar with bricks?" And I'm going, "No, I don't know what that is, man. It's like build a house with it or what, you know." And so he was because I was talking about minerals and I was saying, look, and I still say the same thing in terms of here long term, because that's one of the things I'm going to get around to, and I have a list. But I don't have to stick to the list. The whole point is we're talking. We will expand it. But so when I talk about minerals, I always say, if you have all your minerals and you're doing your thing, right? You're healthy. Nothing's going to bother you. Why? Because that's my thing. I would say, why are these bugs going to the neighbors over there and bypassing my plants? And all I'm doing is feeding them. I'm not doing anything. It's just feeding them, making sure they eat healthy. And so it turns out that when you have all your trace minerals, and this is something I learned as a secret number 2, is that bugs by nature have to eat a certain type of food. Mother Nature says, I'm going to be really smart. You guys can only eat this when the food's ready to be recycled. When things are ready to take it and turned into garbage, into food. And so that's a very different thing than when the very same creature or plant or whatever is totally healthy. Mm-hmm. And what's the difference? So why can I eat this and not eat that? If I were a bug or whatever, right? I would say, this tastes really good. I like this. Yum, 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 yum. That's good. So over the millennium, these creatures have evolved to be able to have a built-in refractometer. I swear, their eyes will see the same thing your refractometer sees in the sense that a refractometer tells you how much sugar it has, right? It's a measurement.
Complex carbohydrates. Yeah.
Right. So it's a measurement of sugar. But I also realized that Mother Nature is so smart because she takes the sugar. Because I was in school, I really like photosynthesis. It takes the sun and converts it into sugar. I said, well, why don't I just give it sugar so I can help it out, right? And then a professor would talk to me and says, sugar, it's got this mineral, it's got that mineral, it's got this mineral, this, and that mineral. I'm going, well, and then that's what happened. So I talked about that, and this guy, Leica, it's a camera, a very expensive camera, but they also have these expensive refractometers, which, hey, yo, refractometer, you around here anywhere? He's hiding from me. He's very scared. So anyway, so the guy, he called me up and says, I'm the owner of Leica, and I want to give you my this refractometer. I said, what do you mean give it to me? Well, supposedly it was really expensive in those days. I'm not going to tell you where it was. But I'm going to give it to you because you hit on it. Without the refractometer, you hit on exactly. But so now what I say is the higher the bricks, the greater the mineral levels. And then throughout my history, I have encountered such amazing people. These are professors and scientists and people who, like, for example, the guy who wrote the bricks book, and which, by the way, it's a free ebook. So he gave it to me. He says, feel free to give it to everybody. It's a chart. And the chart not only explains brick, but the chart, I think, is, and I've been a bad boy because there's a best, I think, there's a little saying that helps you to determine the levels of the bricks. We're basically very simple, but the way it works is that Mother Nature says, okay, because we like sweet things, right? That we would not, and if you were walking in the forest and something was sour, you would not eat it. Because Johnny ate it and Billy ate it and they all died. And my daddy ate it and he died and so on, right? So I'm going to eat the sweet stuff. The same thing with bugs and plants. They're going to eat the sweet stuff for them. But if it tastes different, then they're not going to eat it. And so it comes down to, like you said, carbohydrates. And the carbohydrates that these guys eat is simple carbohydrates, which makes a lot of sense because these are just bugs, and that's what they get. They get their energy and they go, eat, like the grasshopper. Simple carbohydrates. I bet you anything that your beets of that person,
radishes.
I want beets. The radishes. I have a low bricks level. See, so but if it had a bricks level, even the caterpillars or the grasshoppers will not touch it because they will see it before they even get anywhere, before they even touch it, right? And so what is it? What's the other type of carbohydrates?
Complex carbohydrates.
There you go. So even in our bodies, when we produce simple carbohydrates, we're sick. And when we're healthy, we produce complex carbohydrates. Everywhere, animals, trees, everything, very same system. It's all one system here. And so that's That's is a very important key for long term, because the refractometer was useful for me because I could explain to people here because I would go into a store like over here. They have a health food store, and I'm going to give the name of it, right? They have a conventional section and an organic section. I always said, that's not right. The outside says health food. Everybody comes in, everything should be healthier, right? Well, why is it?
Yep.
What's conventional? I mean, yeah, we sprayed the heck out of it. We did whatever chemicals we wanted to do. That's conventional. And I would go in and I would take one orange from the conventional, one orange from the organic with the grocer. He would go to me, the head guy, and and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I want to see which one I know which one I want, but I want to show you what you're selling." So I got 2 oranges today, right? All the oranges, apples, all those things have a Brix level that when they're healthy. And I can tell you off the bat because I know where their oranges would be 32 and an apple would be like 28. Anything above that, well, 32 is the highest. They have numbers, right? So the 32 would be the highest. So anything between 20 and above 20, it's healthy enough that the bugs will think twice about eating it. A few bugs will come along and say, I got to eat this. But the rest of, and the lower the Brix reading, the less and less mineral. As a matter of fact, I was talking about it once, and I was saying, well, wait a minute. How can you tell what minerals it have if it's just one line, right? If it's just one line, what is it that's missing? How can you tell what minerals is missing? So I ran into this professor who heard me talk about it, and he developed a rule. It's called the fuzzy line rule.
Okay.
Right, the fuzzy line. So
kind of like my face is fuzzy.
Yeah. It's not the same fuzzy. It's like fuzzy as in on the camera unfocused.
Okay. Okay.
And so he came up with the fuzzy, and he's the one that wrote this book on refractometer, and he said basically the more minerals you have, the fuzzier your line is going to be, because you have so many different minerals. Right, and it makes like a whole bunch of different lines really together. See, you know what I mean? If you have just one mineral, and I always thought about it because it doesn't sound exactly right, because remember, the higher the minerals. So if you only have one mineral, you're going to be down here. This line is going to be down here. It's not going to be up there. So you know that the line is above 20. So you know that there has to be minerals in there, otherwise it wouldn't be up there. And it's fuzzy. That means there's a whole bunch of minerals. But so if you have
fuzzy he was a bear.
Yes, if you have one, for example, that particular test, his orange was a 10. This orange over here was a 36, 32, something like that. And then I asked the guy, which one would you eat? And he went for the 32 one instead of that one. I said, so you're selling this conventional CRAP here and knowing that you rather eat this.
Okay, so Andy, I'm going to stop you right there because we've kind of went squiggly on this question, but guys, to get your Brix levels up, you need basically 2 basic things. You need the trace minerals, and that's where we talk a lot about trace minerals, your rock dust, etc. Then you need the biology to break those trace minerals down, to eat them up, to supply them into the plant. So that's the 2 basic things is the biology and then the materials that the biology needs, or the building blocks that are necessary. So we went a way off that question. We have a bunch more questions, Andy.
Oh, you have more questions?
Yeah, it never stops, Matt.
But let me just say real fast, okay? So you have those 2 together, but you have to understand the plants itself, the root systems are not healthy. It takes time for them to recover. Until then, you have to learn how to foliar spray, which is one of the secrets. You have to learn how to spray it onto the plant so it absorbs it. And as it gets healthier, the root systems, and you're working down there, the root systems will start to come back to life. Okay, next question.
Yes. Okay, so next question from Callie Flower. I thought spent coffee grounds improve nitrogen, yet I hear people using them to help fruit production. Can you explain this a bit?
Now tell me that. Say that one more time again.
I thought spent coffee grounds.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Nitrogen.
I know. I got it.
Okay.
All right. So coffee is very acid. It's an acidic product. Over here in California, we use coffee grounds to bring the pH of the soil down to some reasonable level, and that's exactly what's happening there. That tells you that the soil pH is a little high. Adding coffee grounds specifically, because coffee beans is not going to do anything to the soil, but coffee. And you didn't mention if it's organic coffee, whatever, because you don't want to go to these places that sell coffee. And you're going to end up with the chemicals in the coffee you use. So you want to use organic coffee grinds. I personally like to go to restaurants that offer organic coffee and get all the coffee grinds you want. That will change the soil pH, lower it down some. Because normally you would use, the old days, you use sulfur, right? That's one way to. You also use things like peat moss, which are acid, and there are other things that you could do to lower it down. I like coffee because it's also rich. Because, well, for one thing, earthworms love coffee grinds. It's one of the best things to put in the ground, because the earthworms really eat through that and they love that. And so it changes the pH, and that's why it works.
Yeah. And guys, most of the time, cauliflower, when we're talking about cold brew coffee, we're not talking about the grounds, because we're doing a foliar spray. But Andy, on the worms, if you have a worm bin, guys, don't overdo. Don't become a moron. Don't put too much in, because you can literally change the pH to the point where you're going to kill all your worms.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You do want to be cognizant of that, and it's in everything that we do. Is we don't want to be that moron. We don't want to be the.
I'm a moron.
Yeah, well, we don't want to be the person that puts on 20 pounds of rock dust into your compost and go, well, why did my biology all die?
Yeah,
because
right.
You put too much.
The same thing with the coffee, because
moderation.
The earthworms live in a certain pH range, the ones that we want, the biology too. Of course, there's biology in earthworms and different types of all different ranges, but in that particular range, I've discovered that that's where all the trace minerals are available. That's where you can get everything that you need. And there are some trace minerals that you cannot create, that only the biology can create. So I already give you 3 secrets. Because if you think you can get all 96 trace minerals, good luck. You remember, that's what it's called, C90, not C96. You get 90 trace minerals. C90 has one, for example, a sea salt. And there's other different types of rock dust which has close to 90. Some have 76, between 76 and 90. So you will never get that 6 exotic trace minerals, because only the soil biology can take these 2 things together. They have to have all the building blocks, right? And then they make that. And that
periodic table of elements. That's what sticks in my head when I think of all these different materials, is the periodic table of elements. But Andy, let's jump on to Callie's next question, because it's more about the bugs and the pests and disease that we were talking about.
Bring it on.
Also, how do you fight against mealy bugs and stay ahead?
So it's not your fault, because see, you've been taught to go after the effect, not the cause. So when I've been doing this for a long time, and the normal way is you spray the mealy bugs with something, there's the normal way would be spray with a chemical, but you can spray with a cold brew coffee will kill them dead. What I would use is coffee cream and sugar to spray the mealy bugs with, because the combination of those things not only does it kill the mealy bugs, but provide the calcium, which is the reason why you have the mealy bugs in the first place. There are a couple other things you could do for mealy bugs. Remember, it's a nutritional deficiencies. You can keep spraying forever and ever, and they'll come back again. Probably your neighborhood people have plants that are deficient. That's where you get the mealy bugs from. So there are things you can do to. So it tells me you need to pay attention to what's going. I would do a soil test. I don't know if you ever had a soil test done in the lab. But seriously, I would do one, and you will see what you'll say. Well, you have too much of this, not enough of that, and so rather than go get that, you want to get something that already has it built into it. Like when you have vitamin pill, you want to get a multiple vitamin rather than one particular vitamin to do. A simple thing, if you don't have a large area and you want to spray something, So hydrogen peroxide, the 2%, or is it 3%? 3% hydrogen peroxide added to a gallon of water spray that would knock him dead. The hydrogen peroxide would just destroy their little bodies. So does coffee. So does garlic. Garlic is amazing because it's got sulfur already in it. And that sulfur of the garlic is what you smell, will kill the mealybugs and will destroy them. Also, too, any kind of oil, it depends on the... I don't use oil anymore because it's so hot here. You basically are going to cook your plants if you spray with any kind of oil, you know. But there are lots of different kinds of oil that you can spray if the environment is friendly enough. If it's super hot, I would stay away from the oil. I would spray at night too. You'd be more effective to it, so you can spray your cold. I would do the cold brewed coffee very organic, of course. Organic cold brewed coffee will kill the mealybugs. Caffeine will kill them on contact.
Now, another thing you can look at, and it's the predator-prey model, who eats the mealybugs or who eats the larvae of the mealybugs.
Right.
And if you add those into your mix, you know, as in isopods, that's another way. Also the banker plants, if you have the plants more attractive to the mealybugs, they'll go eat those plants and leave the plants that you want to, you know, produce whatever you're, you know, it's tomato, it's a cannabis, whatever, you know. So that's another methodology as well.
So you can plant certain herbs along with your plants. It's as simple as that. Basil works really, really good. You know, I think it's called holy basil. That's a really a very potent one. So you can just plant one per row. It's actually a trop crop. Before they go there, they'll go to the basil plant every day, anytime.
Oh, and here's something, Andy, your tip of growing garlic under Mayflower trees worked. My friend lost most of her trees, but once she used your tip, it saved what was left of her trees. She says, thank you for your help.
Just send me lots of money. No, it does work because it's a systemic. See, you can actually plant just a couple of garlic plant under any tree, and that tree will suck it up. And then the bug will go, wait a minute, what is going on here? No, because the bug can sense what's going on with the tree, and by sense me, they'll smell it, they'll see it, but they'll also see the garlic come out because it radiates garlic out, especially if they bite into it or they drill a hole into it. You know, that's what the bugs do. Same thing with diseases. They have to start living off a tree. No, if you have garlic in there, they won't touch it. Coffee is the same thing. Coffee is notice it's systemic.
Yeah.
Right? So I would look into beneficial farming because you have all the beneficial that you can grow. Once you learn that certain things are like trap crops, they'll go to them instead of marigolds. There's tons of different kinds of marigolds you can plant, and they, because of their color, they repel.
Okay.
Right. They see the color and go, okay, over here, let's go this way. You know, right?
It's like Andy breathing garlic in your face. They repel it, okay?
Yeah, you'll find that Mother Nature, there's so many different ways that they get to be protected. And once you learn those, you can learn how to do that. Yeah, 800 fires in Canada.
Yeah, well, Serena, I heard about the 800 plus fires in Canada. What do people need to do when the fires are out to recover from the damage and ashes? Now, Serena, this is something that's a natural, like we're having a lot more fires, but Mother Nature uses that fire to repopulate. There's a lot of seeds that until a fire goes through, they will not sprout. It's like, after a fire, you'll get a lot of truffles coming up, etc. But if you want to speed up the process, then, people can go out and replant things like, native species for your area to speed things up. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of things you can do when a fire goes through. And Andy?
I would add either compost or soil to that. A nice layer of compost, a nice layer of soil to it. Turn it over with what's there. Don't have to take anything away. But I would do that because once you put it underground, it's going to start to work. On top of the ground, Mother Nature can just blow it away to your next door neighbor, and the next door neighbor will have amazing crops. So that's what I would do. That's what I'm telling folks here that have their property burned down. Get some good soil, get some good compost. That's the best way to get rid of any toxins that are on there as well. And then you can plant. That you don't even need to plant, because by stuff you're going to get all kinds of plants coming up by themselves. That would be a good time if you wanted to replant. Just remember that the ashes makes the soil very alkaline. Ashes make the soil very alkaline. So you definitely want to be able to get even your soil will be neutral, so that will neutralize it a little bit. The manure is very good, because manure, even though it's acid, as it decomposes, becomes alkaline. So and the biology of the manure will break down all those ashes and all those things. Coal, they love the coal and all that stuff. So I would actually, if you have it anywhere near a farm, so get their composted manure and just lay it down and then cover it with soil. You will have an amazing crop down the road.
Well, it's the organic material, and that's a key for all life. But anyway, Serena, I love you, sweetheart, but what are the benefits of rock dust? We've covered that on multiple occasions, and it's basically you're supplying building blocks for the biology to use to create cells, to create more of themselves, and that's the foundation of all life. So rock dust is very important. If you don't overdo it, put it in your compost, let it mix with that organic material, and then lay it out. So that's the biggest benefit. And I know you have more to say on this one, brother.
I have an ebook I can give you. It's called Remineralization. Another friend of mine, Don Weaver, says you can give it away. So if you email me, I know you do, because I actually sent you 2 ebooks. I sent you the Don't Panic, It's Organic, and I also sent you Natural Pest Control Alternatives to Chemicals for the Home and Garden ebook. I sent you that. You should say thank you. But I will send you I have the ebook version of that. But here's the thing about rock dust. You want to get different sources of rock dust, not just one.
Yeah.
So I have 12 different sources of rock dust, because some are richer than others. Some have a different variety of minerals. See, so you want to. So the local one here is 30% calcium, because it's an alluvium clay. It's a volcano. It's underground lava. It's super hot. It heats up the clay and it bubbles up, and people do a hot mud bath. But that mud is alluvium clay, and that alluvium clay is 30% calcium. You do not find that anywhere. Maybe other parts of the planet that have the same condition, but most rock dust don't even have maybe 2 or 3% calcium. And calcium is the number one thing you need, more important than nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, calcium.
Now, Serena is saying, thanks, Andy. I need to check my email. And as for pronunciation, it's alluvial, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Well, same to you.
I know, Andy.
Yeah, it's alluvial. And that's wonderful. And that's why they bathe in it, because the human body needs that calcium. It sucks right in.
And carbon is actually we're all carbon-based entities.
Yeah, we need the carbon.
All organic entities, plants, animals.
Yeah, humans. You need the carbon, right? Without the carbon, we don't have life. I'm talking about we already have life. What is it that we need down the road? We eat carbon all the time. Every food that we eat has carbon in it.
And in the air that we breathe, actually.
Carbon dioxide.
Now, here's one for you, Andy. Does leaf mold have benefits different from compost, or should I just compost the leaves and not make leaf mold?
Okay, so there are only certain trees that have the right biology to have the leaf mold that you want. Oak trees, for example, their leaves are actually collected by a bunch of different organizations, and they're sold as oak leaf mold. Okay, so not all leaves do that. So you need to look it up. So you have a tree or something that you want to get the leaves from. Look it up, or ask your AI: does this tree leaves produce a good mold from their leaf? Okay, but not all trees will do that. Some trees would be better if you run it through your compost system because they depend on other biology to break it down. Or I know for oak trees for sure because I buy oak tree leaf mold on a regular basis. It's very, very different. I actually put it on my worm farm because they love that. So it's one of my layers, and I get it. Go to the store and there's a company that sells it. I don't even want to know what they're doing. Because if the oak leaves, they just fall apart. Eucalyptus is no good. You have to dry them, and then because that super acid and it burns plants, and the worms won't like it. So, anyway, next.
Well, actually, this is one of Serena's jokes. What did the mushroom say when he was turned down for a date? Why don't you want to go out with me? I'm a fun guy.
Fun guy.
I just had to bring it up.
Did you make that up? Did she make that up?
I'm not sure. Some jokes she makes up. Some jokes she's getting from books, I believe. But we're going to go to our next question here. Thoughts on lime? I'm getting alkaline, but not sure. Also, some coffee grounds scattered around once in a while on top of the soil. Is that okay?
I have to tell you bluntly, if you put lime down, put the lime in the coconut. No, if you put the lime in the soil and you shake it all up, no, lime will kill your beneficial bacteria, beneficials in the soil, because lime is not what you want to be putting in the soil. If you do that, you have to go very, very tiny amounts because it will do that. See, I've never met a person that put tiny amounts. They would always put too much, and then they'll come back to me. Look what happened. Yeah, you changed the pH too radically. You killed everything as well while you're doing it, and now you have a disaster you have to fix. So I would never do that. Even chemists would tell you don't, because it's one of the things that you're taught to do. Sprinkle lime around, and it'll work, but it doesn't. It doesn't. It causes more problems. It's fine if you're a chemical fertilizer dude, right, or the person who doesn't depend on the biology, because lime has a bunch of different minerals in it that are also needed. But it's not like magnesium. Okay, you do not want to be sprinkling magnesium, Epsom salts around, even though it's got magnesium, which it really needs. It destroys the plant, the soil biology. Always put more on. What is it?
Tio Mimo's trying to be a moron. I'm telling you, man. And Tio knows, it's a statement from Leighton Morrison from back when he was on Future Cannabis Project. And it's a lot of us, and I've done it too. I put more on than was needed, and I've swung the balance out of balance the other direction and caused my own problems. And it's a thing with us humans that we have
I don't do that.
Not doing it, okay?
I don't have a problem with that because I learned from experience as a youth. I would see people do stuff and I go, "What did you do?" Well, I dumped the whole bag over there. I go, "Yeah, right, wonderful." Like with rock dust, one guy, friend of mine, dumped I think 20 pounds in a raised bed, in a small 4x4 raised bed, right, 8 or 12. Killed everything, and he said he came to a conclusion: this stuff isn't good for the soil. I'm going, "You've got to be kidding me," right?
And like Tio says, less is more. And
That's
guys,
why
it's about that balance. It's you want biodiversity. We talk about the biodiversity of the biology. Well, it's the biodiversity or the diversity of what you're adding to your soil. Like if you have, like Andy says, don't just use one manure in your compost. Use as many different ones as you can get. If you get more different varieties of things, putting it into your compost, that's more diversity of building blocks available for the biology to break down to use for your next crop. So it's always going to be diversity. Mother Nature does not go with only one thing. She's always going with diversity. And like Lily says, it's all about the biology. The biology, if the biology is not there, Andy, and we've talked about it before, you can have all the different minerals you ever wanted. You can have everything on the planet in that pile, but without the biology to eat it, to break it down, to make those molecules break apart and build those complex carbohydrates that are necessary for the plant, then you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it comes down to when you deal with pests and diseases, and what I learned is that, see, the pests and diseases are indicator of what's going on. They tell you that
Yes.
plant is not healthy. It's not healthy because it's food for that bug or that disease. Every time, that's exactly what happens. So you have to learn how to take care of the patient, right? You have to learn how to deal with that problem. So as long as you know that you cannot address a serious long-term problem with short-term solutions, you're going to get short-term results, and they'll be worse. By the way, so a refractometer, one of the things I learned was really very interesting. You'll find it. Yeah, you can use chemical fertilizer to raise the Brix level. It'll go bing, but then it'll also go bing.
Yeah,
Right?
there's goods
Every
and
time.
there's bads, and you know, if
Every
you guys are interested in picking up a refractometer, Blue Sky Biochar,
Right.
check out the one on his site because it comes with
It's a little
everything
kit.
you need.
Yeah.
And that's and believe me, we actually don't make anything from Michael Whitman, who's the owner of that company, but we do recommend his
His kit is
product
great.
because it's a damn good product. And like Leighton Morrison's talked about it too. He's actually tried to break the press that's comes in the kit, and he couldn't break it. So it's good quality material, and that's what you want. Is you want a good quality.
It's great that
Brix
he made a
meat.
kit out of it. It's great that he made a kit out of it because
Yeah.
for many years I had a refractometer, and then I said, okay, well, I have to turn that little leaf into a liquid, or I have to turn that flower into a liquid. So I've learned how to do it and make my own way. I had a motor, a pistol and a motor. We put it in there, a drop of distilled water. You squeeze, crush, and you take that. Or a lot of times, as I evolved, I would take the plant and just rub it on the lens, rub it, and then look through it. That works. But fruit and stuff like that is real easy. You just squeeze it right on the lens. But you definitely want a refractometer because that will start you on the path of, okay, why does this plant have such a low Brix level? Okay, that's what you want to do. And you can start a diary. I did a diary once. I said, okay, 12 Brix level. And that was the real reason was because I bought seeds that was growing somewhere else and I was growing in there. The seeds just said, what the heck? This is nothing here that I can. My biology is not here. I can't because it was growing somewhere else. And so I would spray and I'd do whatever, and then I would wait a week and do another reading. And I found that they would go up. The readings will go up. And it only went because of the foliar spraying, because if I just put stuff in the ground and then measured the plant, nothing happened. It takes longer and longer for something to happen. But foliar spraying, bada bing, bada boom, and you want it. So when I made a mistake, I would do a reading. Next day, it still had the liquid on there, right? And I was actually reading the liquid. Oh, that is a really high reading. No, I said, you have to wait for it totally to dissolve into the plant or totally evaporate. Foliar means spraying the liquid on there. And sometimes, it takes a while you want it all to get absorbed. And then I also learned if I was foliar spraying, I would definitely wipe the leaf off because I don't want it to affect the reading. You just want. I also do you do the leaf, you do the flower, right? And you can measure anything: grass, roses, trees. You start a diary, and you'll learn also too that it affects you at the time of year, because when it's super, like you have fruit, when it's real sweet, it changes, right? It's a different Brix level as it ripens. So you have to decide what is the maximum, because above that is like wine and beer, right? You got this really super fermented product, which is definitely sweet.
Yeah. Now I want, because Serena's put this all in caps, and Serena, I'm trying to keep up with your questions as well, but
okay.
I think this one is really something she wants to ask. Andy, will increasing Brix levels keep squirrels, rabbits, and possums from eating the plants or produce? No.
Look, these squirrels will go, "Oh my God, this is so good." The rabbits go, "Oh, this is great." They love my organic garden. They say when I lived in Florida, the guy next door was not just so good, but my yard was good. They would come over here. This is great. No, because they're higher, more evolved animals than the insects. Okay, they don't care. They will go for the best tasting, the healthiest food they can get their hands on. So you have to do a different thing with them. Use their nose. So what I do here is I spray my vegetables, my herbs and stuff like that. I spray it around. I recently just sprayed some blood meal around the border to see if that deters them, because the blood meal is also good for the plants. I've tried to feed them in a corner because I like feeding them, but I figured if they ate everything, they wouldn't be so hungry. But there was 40 squirrels here the other day. A little party. They were having a wonderful. Oh, let's go chew on that. Oh, let's go chew on this.
And the thing, Andy, is your property is becoming so much more healthy as you're making it healthy. So everybody else's property around is garbage. So all the squirrels are coming to your property to hang out.
Right. Man. That's the problem. And that's the problem if you want to eat. I think I'm going to build a raised bed with a cage thing around it, and then let the squirrels run around and do their thing anyway. I'm also concerned about fleas because I don't want my cats to catch it. But yeah, they will eat your organic fruit and vegetables. They love their organic stuff. They're not going to say, "Oh, this has a high Brix level, I'm going to leave it alone." No, they're going to go, "It looks great. It tastes good. Yummy, yummy."
Now, the insects won't be going for it because they can't consume that. If they consume something with that complex carbohydrate, it actually damages their body. So they won't eat it. But
no, they can't.
Higher the life form. Yeah. But anyway, we're almost, we only got a few minutes left, Andy. I do want to get to this one for Serena.
Sure.
Have you ever used bat guano? Was it, or what is the best way to use it?
There are lots of sources of bat guano. It's very high in nitrogen, very high in a variety of different things. And so I like making a tea out of it and spraying it. That's a real cool thing. Because it's expensive, you have maybe a bag of a couple of pounds. I would take a cup, put in a pantyhose. I would get pantyhose. My friends would mail me pantyhoses when I was saying I need pantyhoses. Put it in the pantyhose.
Is that legal, Andy? Were they used? No, I didn't say that. No.
Tie it into a little ball and let it make a tea out of it, and you can spray. You can also just rub it in around the plants, but it is a slow release nitrogen. It's not going to burn. Tomatoes love it. Roses love it. Except it's a little expensive, so you want to use it a way that lasts more. That would be make a tea out of it and foliar spray it.
And David says, I keep bird feeders full and water, and has made a noticeable decrease in bugs and flies. And that's one of the beautiful things of getting your entire property.
They come around, they live there.
Up and alive and functioning as an ecosystem. You have all this predator prey model happening on your property. The birds come back.
I got tons of birds that come through here. Yeah. They love the flower. The bees are all over the place. So it's the way it should be. I also have the squirrels and I have gophers. They love the organic stuff. That's all I can say. So I have to work on something in terms of, they hate garlic. So maybe no, they don't. Today, the 30 squirrels, Ash just finished spraying everything with garlic. I smelled the garlic, but they went, we don't care.
But anyway, guys, we only got a minute left. And Andy, I know you have mentioned it before, and you're still working on your chorus.
Yes, sir.
Guys, and he's almost done, and he's been working on all the pricing, etc. So you guys are going to have to stay tuned for that, and we'll be giving
24 weeks
once he has it. Yeah, he's got 24 weeks for the chorus. So once he has that available, we'll be giving it away and announcing it on the channel as well.
Right here, you'll learn how to get it. And what I want to do is I want to use you guys as to be the first people to use it and tell me.
Beta test,
right? Tell me what you like about it. Tell me how to make it work better. And then once you start using it, you can keep using it because the workshop is going to be live streaming, but I'll tape it. See, and then I'm actually going to cover many subjects, and there's a subject I missed. that's the time when you say, hey, why don't we talk about this, right? Or why don't we talk about that? Because I'm not going to cover companion planning, all the basic stuff. I want to cover what comes out of here. And right now, I just want to cover all these. Like I cover the bricks, I cover refractometer, I cover diseases and pests, everything that I know. I might throw in a little companion planning in there, but because that's normal. It's normal to use Mother Nature to do that, and you guys will love it. And the only cost would be for you guys would be the book. You buy my book, Don't Panic, It's Organic. You use that but if you have the ebook, you can just read it just as well on the computer. Okay, guys.
Okay, so
back case in California, yes.
Yeah. Guys, as for the channel, we have Chiropractic is Sexy tomorrow. That's I can't even remember what time it is in Eastern. It's 11 o'clock. Starts at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard, so 10 o'clock Pacific. If you want to help the channel, you can hit the join button, become a defender of the biology. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And if you want discounts on some of the products that we promote on our channel, you go to It's All About the Biology, click on the discounts, run through the products that are there, and there's discounts available. And that on some of those, it does help the channel because they're affiliate links, so you can help support the channel that way as well. And guys, at that moment, we're gonna say peace out, everybody. Love you all, and we will see you the next time.
Bye.
Oh, and next week, Andy's not going to be available. He's got some dental surgery going on, so there won't be anybody here for next week for this particular show. But guys, peace out, everybody. We'll see you soon.